You set me on fire, striking a match on our lips, hot like June.
Oh my God. Okay, wow. The microphone is actually on. I'm sitting here. The little red light of the camera's on. Everything's going. Guys, welcome to Madwoman, the podcast. I'm your host, Domenica Calarco. I can't wait to take you on this journey with me. Let's get started. Wow, it's been some time. It's been a couple months since I've sat in front of a mic and spoken from the heart. I've really missed podcasting. I've missed being in your ears, being part of your morning journey. I've read all of the DMs and seen all of the messages and how much you've missed hearing my voice, which is still wild to me that people miss hearing this old voice right here. It's been a journey, guys. I think before I get into talking about what Madwoman, the podcast, is going to be, I just wanted to sit here and catch up with you all about how things have been and what life's been like for me. It's been quite a wild journey the past 4 to 5 months. And I think you've kind of, seen snippets of it. And so I wanted to just sit here and chat about where I'm at. A few months ago, I ended up in a mental health ward for 21 days. And it's something that I really want to deep dive and get into the nitty gritty with you guys at some point on Madwoman, because it's super important that I think I share my story and I tell you all of the hard truths, the reason that I was in there and the things that I've learnt. But I guess the main update that I want to fill you guys in on is that I'm doing really well. I guess the reason I went in there was an accumulation of things. It wasn't just one thing. I think, people have this certain idea of, things happened. And I guess the elephant in the room right now is talking about the breakdown of Sit With Us and everything that happened there. And once again, this is another topic that I'm going to really get down and dirty into at some point very soon on Madwoman. But for now, I just want to update you on where I'm at. And where I'm at is I'm doing really well. I'm on new medication. I'm on a new journey. And I'm the happiest, I'm the fittest, I'm the strongest that I've ever been. And even saying those words 4 months ago, I would have never thought I'd be sitting here right now recording the first episode of my very own podcast. I went through some of the deepest, darkest moments in my life that I thought, you couldn't have gone through anything darker than what you've been through, Domenica. And well, I tell you what, just when you think that, life comes and fucking knocks you down. But that is the beauty of resilience. And that's something I really, really, really want to focus on here on Madwoman is resilience. It's something that was really drummed into us while I was in hospital, and focusing on what my core values are. It's something I never really thought about pre-mental health ward. So there's pre-hospital and post-hospital. So we it's kind of, we need to remember this. It's the timeline. It's going to vary. I might go in and out, but that's where we have to really start. But I never thought about what my values were. And when I really shut out everything else in the big bad world, being in there for 21 days and not thinking about when I needed to post my next Instagram, what brand deal was coming in next, when was I going to get my next, paycheck. These were all things I really had to put on the back burner, like even further back than the back burner, because there was no way I was going to heal whilst I let all of that outside noise in. And I just focused on what my core values were, and just really accepted the change and looked at it in a positive way. Because for so long, post maths, going into Sit With Us and the whirlwind that was, I think a lot of the circumstances and the things that happened, I was kind of pushed into this corner that was making me the victim. And I never wanted to be the victim. And I've never seen myself as a victim. But the world that I was thrust into made me to be this victim. Like, oh my God, feel sorry for her, all of these things. But I never chose that. That was not the path that I wanted to go down. And being on that ward with some people that, are going through and were going through way worse things than what I could have ever imagined really put my life into perspective. And that's something that I've really chosen to lean into a lot more is perspective in life now. I think I was kind of blindsided and I had like those little, those things that racehorses have on. Like it was just, I couldn't see out. And no matter how much I was bucking to get them off, the bastards were just there. So I've got rid of them and I'm now able to see life and the bigger picture, and it is amazing. And I'm so excited that you're all on this journey with me. For a while after Sit With Us kind of dissolved, I was toying with the idea that I wanted to come back and podcast. And for a little while, I struggled with my self-confidence because even before doing Sit With Us and going into podcasting, I didn't think that I was worthy. And I've had a really big issue with self-confidence from when I was a teenager. I think it started from my dancing days and dealing with a lot of body image issues and just things that, generally as a teenager going into womanhood, you deal with. And I had to get out of my head a lot. And even sitting here this morning, coming in, those kind of self-doubt, feeling not good enough, all of those thoughts kept creeping back. And I just had to sit here, do some deep breathing and remind myself that I am worthy, I am enough, and I have so much to give. And I know you guys are so ready to hear what I have to say. And that is a true honor. And I'm so ready to start this journey together. When I was thinking about starting a new podcast, I was actually in London, and the incredible woman that I get to call my friend, Elizabeth Day, we sat down at Harrods in the so fancy. I did not belong there. It was like £18 for a green tea. Dal, I don't know who's affording that, but anyway, I paid, I gritted my teeth, and I sat there with Elizabeth, and we spoke and we caught up about all of the things that had happened. I had decided that I still wanted to go on my European holiday that was booked way, way in advance, way prior to my nervous breakdown. I wasn't going to get rid of my European holiday and seeing my nonna go back to Italy after 69 years just because I had ended up in a mental health ward and was healing. I made the conscious decision with the help of my doctor and my family around me that I was still going to go. I was going to, it was going to be uncomfortable. I was still going through a lot of anxious and depressed moments, I would say. But I made it happen, and I got to London and it was freezing cold. It was meant to be summer. It was not warm. It was freezing. I was definitely wearing a jacket. Gorgeous, amazing. Elizabeth was sitting across from me and I was filling her in on everything that had happened. We were talking about the breakdown of Sit With Us and how deeply that had hurt me and how sad I was that it had come to an end. And she looked at me in the eyes and just said, Domenica, you can do this on your own. And it was in that moment that I was just like, holy shit, I can do this on my own. She just instilled so much confidence in me that I had lost over the last, the 2 to 3 months prior to that. I'd lost all of my self-confidence. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without like crying a lot of the time. So sitting down with Elizabeth and having that really difficult conversation, it was difficult but beautiful. I can't even describe it. She looked at me, and the way I must have been sitting, I had my arm on the table, and she looked down at my arm and said, Madwoman, that's what you're going to call your podcast. Madwoman. You're going to have conversations that make people feel uncomfortable. You're going to talk about mental health in the way that it needs to be spoken about, and you're going to be you, and that's okay. And because you are enough. And I just got like full body chills. It was just like this aha moment. You know how Oprah talks about that aha moment? I can now say I know how Oprah feels. It was in that moment in Harrods drinking the $18 green tea that Madwoman was born. And over the next 4.5 weeks on my holiday, I was just jotting down ideas and I was envisioning what I wanted this podcast to be like. And I ultimately want Madwoman to be at its core breaking down the stigma of mental health, encouraging self-love, self-acceptance, making the podcast relatable and empowering. And that is how you guys make me feel. The listeners of Sit With Us that have followed me on my journey, whether that be on Instagram or TikTok, and even the emails that I've been receiving during this time that I haven't been podcasting. You're the reason why I'm sitting here today, and I want to give you guys that feeling back. And if I can, sit here on a couch and talk some shit and make you laugh and maybe make you cry sometimes and feel loved, that is what I want this podcast to be. The name Madwoman, thank you, Elizabeth Day, for helping me. I love you. But ultimately, Madwoman is the name of a song by Taylor Swift. Big T Swift fan here. And if you haven't listened to that song, I urge you to go and listen to it. It is off one of her albums from about 4 or 5 years ago. It came out during COVID. And it wasn't a song that was on my radar all of those years ago. But when I was in hospital, music and art were two of the big things that helped me get through that time. I started listening to this song, and I actually saw a TikTok recently that said, you can hear a song a million times, but you'll never forget that one time that you hear the song and you actually feel the lyrics. And I never forget it. It was sitting on my bed at 499 Windsor Road, and it was then that I fully felt those lyrics. And having gone through some of the most difficult times publicly, having, just things thrown at me, the most hurtful and disgusting things said about me in the media. It was a line where she says, "When did all our lessons start to look like weapons pointed at my deepest hurt?" And it was in that moment I felt everything. It was the reason why I had to take down my Instagram at that time, because no matter what I did, no matter what I said, it felt like everyone was pointed directly at my deepest hurt. And my deepest hurt was, at this unfortunate series of events that led to just the most damaging thing that could have happened to my career at that time. And I haven't spoken about it publicly because it's taken me that long to even understand what the fuck happened. And I'm still trying to digest it now. But I just wanted to be open and honest with you guys as the listeners and who have followed me on this whole journey from when you first met me on TV wearing a wedding dress to sitting here now. And I want you to see the growth that I've done and that I've worked on. I've done some dumb shit. I've said some stupid things. And do I wish I could go back and change some things that I said, things that I didn't say even? I think more than anything, it's the things I didn't say. That's what I wish I could change. So for me, sitting here recording this first episode of Madwoman, I want to make this pledge to you as the listeners that I'm going to continue to challenge those societal norms. I'm not going to change. that could be surrounding mental health, femininity, one's identity, all of those things. I want to challenge the ideas that society thinks are normal because it's all bullshit. And this is going to happen through candid conversations. I'm never going to call them an interview because I'm not an interviewer. I'm not Elizabeth Day. I'm not that chick from the ABC that's her name has just gone off my head. Lee Sales. Love Lee Sales. I'm not Lee Sales. Don't have a journalism degree. Do you know what I mean? Have a degree in probably bullshit if we want to go there. Ultimately, I want this podcast to empower by fostering a sense of community because that's what it's about. I want this to be a community. I want you guys to feel as though when you come and listen, you subscribe to Madwoman, the podcast, you come each week and listen to all of the episodes that I cannot wait for you guys to hear what we've got in store for you. But when you come and you put your little earbuds in or you blast it on your, in the car, you ultimately feel connected. And that's not only an honor to me, but that's what I want Madwoman to be. Is everyone sitting down? Are you ready for housekeeping? Because listen up, this is what you're going to get when you open your little lunchbox if you want. Those little bento boxes? What's going to be on Monday? What's going to be on Wednesday? What's going to be on Friday? Well, let me tell you. Monday, we are starting off our week with a dose of mindfulness. Now, I know what you're thinking, Dom. Have you gone all woo-woo on me? No. I'll tell you right now, I've not gone all woo-woo on you. Trust me, I'm still delulu, not woo-woo. All right? Always going to be, always and forever, I promise you, okay? But mindfulness, what even is mindfulness? It's just taking those few moments, doesn't have to even be, 20 minutes. It can be 10 minutes of your day. You're sitting in traffic, you're sitting on the train. Just thinking about what your intentions for your day are, what you want to achieve, how you want to do that, and what are your core values and how are you going to achieve all of those things, doing it, listening to who you are. And I'm going to keep talking about values, and I do want to do a whole episode talking on how you can even figure out what your core values are. Only a few short months ago, I was so lost that I remember sitting down with my therapist and she asked me, Dom, so what are your values? What do you care about? What is important to you? And I remember the first thing I said was family. And she's like, okay, family's great, but ultimately, who is loving you? You need to love you. So mindfulness is bringing it back to you, oneself. Because guys, without us, without this right here, we cannot be anything for anyone else. Fit your own life jacket before you can fit someone else's. Shout out to the lovely Lisa. I know you're listening, who taught me that. And it just, I remember that every day, honestly, because for so long, I was trying to do everything for everyone else. And I lost who I was. So our Monday mindfulness is bringing it back. It's bringing it back. It's not going to be woo-woo. Just a short little episode to get your week going in a positive way, giving you tips and healthy tricks to better yourself and set you up for a brilliant week ahead. So then come Wednesdays, we have our main episode, which could be a conversation with a guest, which I'm really excited to get some amazing guests on the podcast who I think you guys are going to get a lot out of. And don't expect to see, some huge star. Can't promise that I can't get Taylor Swift on. Who knows? Manifesting that shit. I really think that just everyday people have the most incredible stories, and they're the kind of people that I really want to get on and have these deep conversations with. So as well as having those conversations, thoughts, opinions in our Wednesday main episode, we're also going to be having a segment called Dear Dom. And this is where you guys are the star. I'm really excited for you guys to be involved. I want this to be a two-way conversation. I want it to feel like you're sitting down, you're talking to a friend, and you're getting that advice that maybe you're too afraid to talk to your doctor. You're too afraid to talk to your bestie about something. Think of it kind of like that, old school Cosmo when you've got to like rip the edges and you look inside and it's like, oh my God, like you're sitting there in front of your mum and you can't let her know that you're reading the kind of sealed section. Think of it like a sealed section, but like the modern version of a sealed section. So listener integration, your involvement is so key. And that is where our Friday episode that I am so excited for this segment, guys. It is called the Fuck It Bucket. Fridays are all about the things that you want to throw into the Fuck It Bucket. What are you over? What can't you stand? What do you want to be? Leave it done. It's the end of the week. I want this thing done. Whether it's the fuckboy that you just can no longer stand, your workmate that is just doesn't wash the coffee cups properly. You know when like someone doesn't wash the coffee cup and then coffee residue is like on inside of the coffee mug? See, that would shit me. That's something that I would think, yeah, you know what? I'm going to write into Madwoman. I want to talk to Dom about so-and-so who doesn't wash the coffee mug properly. Look, it can be anything. I'm just spitballing here, guys. But ultimately, this is all about you guys. This is listener involvement, and I'm so excited because this is what Madwoman is about. It's about creating community, and I'm so freaking excited. And I know you guys are going to love these new fun ways that we're going to have conversations throughout the week. I cannot wait. All right. So speaking of Dear Dom, we are getting straight into it. Guys, last night on Instagram, I did a cheeky Ask Me Anything, and I felt so bad because I obviously couldn't spoil that I'm doing a podcast. I really want this to come out of nowhere and surprise you guys the day before this episode goes live. So forgive me, but you guys sent through so many questions and a lot of them were about one specific topic. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, nothing is off limits and I'm not going to hide anything from you. The question that was asked probably 90% in my question box was what happened with me and Ella. And that is something that I will address and talk about really soon. I didn't want the first episode of the podcast to be about that. And hopefully you guys have felt through my socials that I'm not ignoring you because I hate that so much. And I know that you as listeners of, if you came from Sit With Us and if you followed me online or if you've never listened to a podcast and this is your first time here, welcome. But I know that a lot of you guys were invested in the friendship that we had and, things change and friends come and go, things happen. And I will talk about it. I want to sit down and have like a proper conversation with you guys and do it justice. I don't want to just be like, yeah, we're not friends and that's it and never speak about it again because when, the breakdown of Sit With Us happened, I did get a lot of questions on my Instagram asking like, how do you deal with a friendship breakdown in your 30s? And I had a lot of girls that were like in their teen years and in their 20s and they're like, how do you cope with this? And it's been really hard, guys. And thank you for sticking around. And I will ultimately tell you guys everything. But for right now, for today's Dear Dom, let's keep it light and fluffy, okay? Let's keep it light and fluffy. This is a great one. How is your withdrawal off sertraline going? I can officially say that I have properly weaned off my sertraline. It's been about 3 months now that I've been on my new medication and I'm on mirtazapine 30 milligrams, which is a completely different antidepressant, and I'm doing really, really well. I feel so different and I don't know how to explain that. I know other people who are on antidepressants can probably understand, who have changed their antidepressants, who have gone from not being on them to being on them. I do feel that change and I feel better and I'm happier. So we love modern medicine. Dear Dom, how do you deal with a breakup and dealing with it so publicly? Wow. So I don't think I even got to talk about the fact that I went through a breakup, because when shit hit the fan with Sit With Us earlier this year, it all was happening at the same time. And I kept my breakup really quiet for like 6 weeks. So I was going through, like, I was fucked up, guys. Like, you know how hard a breakup is, right? No matter how long you've been together, no matter how old you are, they're horrible, okay? And dealing with a breakup whilst going through a media fucking shitstorm, let me tell you, I ended up in a mental health ward. That's the short end. That's the condensed version of the story. But dealing with a breakup, tips that I can give you, I think it's just staying true to yourself and your true feelings. If you were the one that ended the relationship, ultimately your heart and your soul knows why you did make that relationship come to an end. And that's where I was. I was the one that ended the relationship, and I had to, because the relationship wasn't serving me. I wasn't being fulfilled. My needs weren't being met emotionally, and I wasn't happy. At the end of the day, I was not happy. And I decided I didn't want to live my life being unhappy. And that meant thinking that I was going to disappoint a lot of people. And when I say that in inverted commas, I mean because, oh, she's going through another breakup. Oh no, she couldn't make another relationship work. And that's all the outside noise. That's what I think people are thinking. But at the end of the day, guys, and I tell you this hand on heart, no one actually gives a fuck. At the end of the day, everyone cares about what they're going through only. Yeah, maybe they'll bitch and they'll say things and they'll like make, a snide comment here or there. But at the end of the day, they're not sitting there. Actually, unless they're a psychopath, they shouldn't be sitting there thinking about, oh my God, like, can you believe that Dom couldn't make another relationship work? It's like, that's just our own inner monologue and our own, negative thinking and that train of thought that we need to get rid of, which is where our resilience comes into play. And that's what we're going to work on here at Madwoman. We're going to work on our resilience, get those muscles working. But ultimately, you just need to stay true to who you are. And even at the time, it's going to be really fucking hard. It's going to hurt and it's going to be painful. And it's going to feel like you're never going to be happy again. But I promise you, you will smile again and you will be happy again. Dear Dom, why don't you move back in with your parents? You're good with animals. I love this because, newsflash, I actually am moving back in with my parents. This is the first time I've actually said this out loud publicly. Oh my God, this is crazy. But yes, I am moving back out to live with my parents on the farm. I'm having a little bit of a country change, if you want to call it that, even though it's only literally 55 minutes from Sydney. I've just made the decision, guys. I think Sydney and the big city is eating away at my soul. Even as I sit here recording this above Chanel on Castlereagh Street, the city will always have my heart, as will Chanel. But it is slowly eating away at me and I need to get back to my roots. And ultimately, as much as I love to dress up and be a girly girl, I love being in my denim overalls and my Blundstone boots and being at home and doing the gardening and doing things around the house. That's what makes me happy. So I'm going back to my roots. Thankfully, though, my parents live on 40 acres and there is a second house. So I won't be living with my parents because I think as a 31-year-old woman who has just done a stint in a mental health ward, like, I've got to keep those boundaries. Do you know what I mean? Boundaries. And also I think living in a space with my parents, love them to death. Don't get me wrong, but boundaries. Dear Dom, do you have a partner? Well. Even though I just in my previous Dear Dom spoke about how I went through a breakup this year, I can say that yes, I do have a partner. And I'm not going to give too much away yet, but I'm very, 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 very happy. And I'm going to condense it a little bit. We started out as friends and then we fell in love, I guess. That's like the easy way to put it. But yeah, I've never felt more seen by a man and I've never had a man put me first. So it's all very new and it feels amazing and I'm very happy and I can't wait to share more of that with you guys here on Madwoman. Dear Dom, this is a funny one. I'm going to end this week's Dear Dom on a funny one. How does your Italian family feel about your Vegemite obsession? Great question. I love this. They see me as a little bit fruity. And, you know, I say that with the peace and love. I think they think it's quite funny, especially after I did maths and then Vegemite started sending me out merchandise. And then I went to Vegemite's 100th birthday and I actually like spoke with like the head of Vegemite and Bega and showed them that I had a Vegemite tattoo. And they kind of looked at me like, wow, we don't even love Vegemite that much. And I was like, thank you. I'm here for that. So yeah, how do my family think about my Vegemite obsession? They think I'm a bit crazy and that's totally fine. I love my Vegemite. Get it in ya. It's full of B vitamins. Great for your vitality, your memory. Obviously, I haven't had my Vegemite this morning because I'm losing my words because I'm so excited and I want to talk so much. But yeah, get it in ya. We've ended Dear Dom on a high. Keep sending through your Dear Dom questions, guys. I will keep calling for them on my Instagram. And of course, I will have a Madwoman Instagram up and running and I'll leave all of the links in the show notes. And yeah, would love for you to come and follow me over there. I can't believe we've come to the end of the inaugural episode of Madwoman, the podcast. And I wanted to leave you guys on a little poem that I wrote the other night. And it's a little bit emotional. It's a bit deep, but I think it kind of encapsulates the last 4 to 5 months of my life. I once believed my role was to fix everything and everyone around me. I kept my true feelings a secret. Days spent battling anxiety to the point of pure exhaustion, depression that caused immense sadness. Even the light of the sun would hurt my skin. I used to dream of meeting that one person who would just see me for who I really am. I was lost. I desperately wanted to be loved, that I was blinded by the shine of what love was. By a man, any man, who gave me the slightest bit of attention. I never noticed or knew what a red flag was, or so I thought. I overlooked them because a part of me was just trying to survive. No one mirrored my own reality back to me. So for years, I never knew what I wanted or even who I was. My life was in a haze. I couldn't focus. I would catch myself on autopilot, scrolling, swiping, double tapping. Then came the burnout. My body froze. What was meant to be a silent scream came out as a terrifying roar. Enough. You are enough. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening to the first episode of Madwoman. I can't wait to be on this journey with you all. I love you and I'll see you next time. Mwah.